Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into fasting and the land of plenty and why priming your body and mind is absolutely key to making fasting work for you on your health journey.
Fasting Information Series. Fasting is the land of plenty.
So think of your health journey like moving from A through to Z. So you start at the beginning, you're kicking out toxins, maybe you're ditching sugars and carbs, filtering water, getting picky about your skincare, your hair care, your cleaning products in your house. And if weight loss is part of it, society loves to tell us, just use willpower, cut those calories. And sure, that can work for some, those lucky folks whose metabolism hasn't been thrown off by lifestyle and experiences or psychology. But if your metabolism is a bit wonky, like mine, like many of ours, willpower alone is just not going to cut it. You've got to tackle the carbs in your diet and those are, and also the sneaky plant oils that are hiding in the packaged foods or pushed into use with cooking. So the new science is clear. Plant oils aren't doing our metabolism any favors. So you'll shift from a high carb diet to a low carb diet, aiming for zero carbs, ditching packaged junk and plant oils and sliding into an animal-based way of eating. Think carnivore or ketogenic. Those are really the heavy hitters at the low end of the spectrum. Now, when it's time to heal your metabolism for real, fasting really becomes your superpower. But here's the catch. The last 100 years have messed with us. Wars, famines, they've left a psychological scar, nudging us to eat all the time, and more so as time goes on. Now pair that with the Industrial Revolution that floods the world with cheap carbs, and we've got a population that is psychologically and physically hooked on constant eating. That's the opposite of where we came from. Way back, our ancestors, ancient ancestors, whose metabolisms we've inherited, had to wait for food. Picture yourself as a hungry teenager, coming home from school, stomach growling. Your mum says, no snacking, dinner's in half an hour. Remember that? Did that happen to you? That rumble that you felt in your tummy while you were doing the waiting, our ancestors lived with that for half a week, maybe through the whole of winter. They just had to put up with it. That's our history. Our bodies are built for it. So when we sleep or fast, we flip into repair mode, and we need to. So to get that metabolic health humming, you've got to recreate that ancient vibe, zero carbs, and then fasting. But fasting, it's not a walk in the park for everyone. And two big things make it doable. So firstly, your body needs top-notch nutrition. Don't buy into the plant-based hype that says you can get everything from your vegetables. It isn't true. We are animal, and the densest nutrition comes from animal products. The problem is the last centuries demonized them. Why? Well, here's my take. There's not much profit in meat. Society is run by media. Media is run by ads, and ads are funded by companies raking it in from long shelf life and high markups on plant-based stuff. So just go and ask a farmer of animals or a butcher. They'll tell you that animal products don't sit on the shelves and they don't fetch huge margins either. So they don't dominate the market or the headlines because they don't fit the industrial game of life. So before you fast, load up on proper nutrition animal-based, the stuff that our ancestors thrived on. If you're big on animal welfare, like I am, go for regeneratively farmed meat. Match your food to your values. Even with great nutrition, though, fasting can still be tough if your body's low on fat to burn. Because not everybody uses fasting for weight loss. Fasting is a really healing state. So you've got to have enough fat to use as fuel. If you're lean, but you need fasting to heal, eat enough beforehand to pack on the healthy fats. So you've got to eat healthy fats to store healthy fats, and then you've got fuel to tap into. So that is what our ancestors did. They were living kind of like wild animals do today. Summers were feast time, plants aplenty, piling on the fat, getting a little bit chubby. And then winter would hit, nothing growing anymore, metabolism slowing down, and then they used the fat that was stored on their body to keep their bodies going while they couldn't find anything to eat. Now, we're not in the wild anymore, but we can mimic it for health. Now, the next thing is psychology. It's the next hurdle. If your grandparents or great-grandparents survived the war, depression, famine, their struggles left what's called epigenetic marks, pushing you to eat, eat, eat. So some people just feel compelled to eat, 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 and they can't find anything in their personal history. You know, it can come through your genetics. But don't blame them because they didn't choose their situation. But you have what you have now in your subconscious and in your genetics. And the key is to tweak your psychology, to tweak your physiology. So I had that too. I had a story telling me to keep eating, always be full. Now, lucky for me, I'm a story changing pro. It's taken a long time to become one, but I think it's been really, really worth the effort. So one moment of realizing that old tale wasn't true anymore flipped me from compulsive eating, only controlling what I ate, not how much or when, because you can't beat your hormones. The hormones are going to win all the time. I was I was absolutely astounded that I went from that state to flipping over to effortlessly chasing my health goals that I'd held for 30 years, right? But before that shift, fasting felt really extreme to my subconscious. And I'd wanted to fast for like a decade of my life, but I couldn't beat my nervous system. You know, my psychology had a grip on me via my nervous system. So fasting can be a mental battle. So if it is a mental battle for you, it's not just about the food. It's your psychology can be messing with your entire physiology via your nervous system because your nervous system will just control everything. So there is good news though. Good news. Story changing is a lot easier than you think. You just need the right help to do it. You need someone who has done it, who can appreciate what it takes, and they can walk you through it. They can teach it to you. Now, let's talk priming because that's what this video is truly all about. The final piece of the puzzle. People get a bit twitchy about priming because society has conditioned us to fear high-fat foods. But hear me out. Fasting isn't scarcity. It's the land of plenty. I'm on day 7 today of a 20-day fast. That's what I'm doing right at the moment. Water, sea salt, minerals like iodine and magnesium, a splash of bone broth twice a week here and there, just to keep my B vitamins up so I don't have to stop fasting early. My body is calm as anything. Now, why is that? Because I don't have an old story screaming at me that I'm doing the wrong thing. My story now says this is my path to wellness, so I should stay on the path. I've got excess protein from lipedema. It's moving, everything's shifting and changing. And I have plenty of fat. Boy, do I still have plenty of fat to use as fuel. So in months of fasting, in the past 2 months of fasting, about 80% of the time, my brain has never once panicked about running low on any resource. And that's because in the fasted state, if everything's going in the right direction, all the ducks are in a row, you are in the land of plenty. Energy, enthusiasm, and movement, and no stress signals. Sleep is my healing time, and my brain just loves it. Our ancestors hit this state in winter or waiting for the hunt. Yeah, waiting for the tribe members to come back from their hunt. It's why we store fat so easily, because we're always expecting lean times. And this is not to do with our psychology. This is embedded in our genetics. To fast well, your brain needs to relearn that the land of plenty, where there's enough protein, enough fats, enough micronutrients, if you've been carb loading non-stop, never tapping fat for fuel, just jumping straight in, well, it's just going to be too much. Yeah, the relearning has to happen. Priming is actually your education phase. And I'm an educator, so I honor the education part of these processes. You've got to teach your brain to run on fat, uninterrupted, before you step into the goal of fasting. If you skip this part, you are set for a stumble. So if metabolic health is your goal, fasting is the real deal. It's better than any mimicking diet because of its intensity and because it really does suit our ancestry. But you've got to prepare properly. You've got to prime your body. It's education. You've got to resource your body fully. And you've got to avoid insulin spikes before you fast and during your fast, because carbs increase insulin. Stress from your old stories, your old faithfuls, interacting with what you're now doing and what you're observing yourself doing. Not getting enough sleep is also going to increase your insulin. If you eat carbs with your fats and think, oh, I'm eating enough fat, but I'm eating carbs too. No, if you have carbs with your fats, you're going to have an insulin rise. Then you're going to store all that fat as body fat. You're not actually going to have it as accessible to you. Insulin shuts down your fat cells and it flips energy inward, right? So when you have really low insulin, energy is outward into your bloodstream, and insulin rising flips your body into energy inward, right? So from the bloodstream into the fat cells. It then, if you force it, if it then forces your body to raid muscle and after muscle organs, which is drastic. You just don't want that to happen. It's the opposite of the healing state. Yeah, I felt this recently myself over a 4-day period. I had really brutal sleep loss. I wasn't fasting at the time. I don't think I could have fasted at the time. I wouldn't have been able to stay awake. So I spiked my insulin from lack of sleep. Okay, I packed on 2 kilograms of fat and 2 kilograms of inflammatory fluid, which then I had to do fasting to get it straight off again. Now, I'm really lucky that my body knows how to fast well, and I've been practicing it. And in 4 days, I was back down to the weight that I started before, the insulin rise happened. Food is definitely easier to control than the stories and the sleep. Okay, so if you're having trouble controlling the food, then it's probably a story that's, getting in the way of that. You just need a coach to get you through the learning that you need to do so that you get it on track. It's not a lifelong relationship. It's just to get you where you need to get to. And if you get yourself a coach that understands how the stories, how the psychology is affecting you, well, then you're set to win. Now, there's a little caveat that I've got to put in about a little quick note about the difference between men and women. We fast differently. Our bodies are hormonally different. Men have a much more of a straight line with their hormone production, and women's hormones move around a lot. So if we have stress, we are prone to hormonally reacting to any kind of stress. So it's really, really important Men just handle stress hormones better. They get charged up. They get more testosterone from having a little bit of stress. Women don't. We're not designed to have more testosterone. We're designed to have a nice little balance of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and then it shifts around as our cycles go on. This is a little different if you're past menopause. So for us ladies, our story work is really, really important. It's critical. Willpower alone distresses the brain and the body, and it's going to tank you really fast. And then what are you going to learn? You're going to learn that you don't have enough willpower. You can't succeed. You're a failure. And none of that is actually true. It just means that you didn't attend enough to the stories that were trying to divert you from the goal that you're trying to achieve. So it's tricky, but it's doable. You just have to find the right person to help you get through it. To wrap up, if fasting is on your wellness radar and it's not clicking, you've got to ask yourself some of these questions. Did I skip priming? Is a story holding me back? Am I fully resourced? Is my brain fat fuel ready? Have I set up context for calm and for good sleep? Health isn't just about food. It's psychology too. And the psychology seems to be the hardest of the two to deal with. And we kind of leave it to the last minute. If the food doesn't work, then we deal with our psychology. Maybe. So if health is about psychology, the modern day psychology doesn't seem to really assist. And that's why I studied outside of the mainstream so that I could master what the ancients have actually told us is possible, and that is the story changing. It's your birthright. Like before modern times, we all had people around us who helped us learn how to do this. This is our birthright. I studied with Indigenous Hawaiian people that have brought through the last 1,500 years of their ancient teachings, pure teachings, without being modernized. And they have a story-changing format that is actually called Ho'oponopono. And that's what I began my learning like 15, 20 years ago. I started learning this stuff. So you need to honor what is your birthright and take the step and learn what you need to learn. And it's all for practical purposes. You need to be able to ditch willpower. It's really, really weak against the stories that are running 24/7. You've got to change your stories. It will change your life. I guarantee it. The hardest way is often the easy way forward. So if you want to win the war, let's talk about it. We've got a few places to talk about it. We've got the low to zero carb groups. They're on Facebook. You'll see some notes in the comment how to get there. If you want private coaching, you just have to ask. Okay? JoannaRuth.Online. You can find all my information there. And if you're looking for products to help you along your road of learning about all the story stuff, this is where they'll be. They'll be on Etsy. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, share it around. This is some of the most important stuff regarding your health. And if you've happened upon this video and you're not really into low to zero carb, but you are game enough to think about your stories, well, I'm glad you came. So thanks for watching again. Drop your thoughts below, make comments. The more you comment, the more you like, the more you share around, the more people have opportunity to get onto this and claim their birthright. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Here's a playlist for the entire series. Please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. See you in the next video.